We're going to do it together. We have to unify, put our petty differences aside, who's more powerful, who has the information, and let's work together in lockstep. You, the people, your stories are fascinating, they're real, they're organic, and they're the truth.
Right now with Ann Vandersteel. Welcome to Right Now with Ann Vandersteel. I'm your host today, Corinne Clifford. Ann is on location doing what she does best, very, very serious investigative journalism. I'm live today from Washington, D.C. It is January 3rd, 2024. We want to wish all of y'all out there the greatest new year, the happiest, most blessed year of your life. I'm so grateful to have a guest today. Her name is Rachel Powell. I will introduce her very shortly, but right now, I really want to take this moment to just say 2024 is going to be a wild ride. So pray that we all work together and stand up for righteousness and the U.S. Constitution.
If you don't want to eat GMOs and pesticides in your storable food, choose organic, lab-tested storable food solutions from the Health Ranger store. We are the only emergency food manufacturer in the world that subjects each of our ingredients to rigorous laboratory testing that covers herbicides, heavy metals, aflatoxins, identity testing, and bacteria tests, including E. coli, salmonella, yeast, and mold. At healthrangerstore.com, you'll find certified organic, lab-tested, freeze-dried fruits, microalgae superfoods, protein powders, and supplements. We offer emergency first aid colloidal silver products made with Texas rainwater, and our Ranger buckets feature an impressive assortment of organic storable food items professionally vacuum sealed in heavy-duty bags that are stacked in rugged buckets for long-term storage. Check out our preparedness foods, supplements, personal care, and emergency first aid products at healthrangerstore.com.
Freedom of speech is a basic human right that has been hard-won and granted to all law-abiding Americans. As such, we should not take our freedom of speech and expression for granted. This is more important now than ever before, since world governments and the mainstream media often try to suppress those whose opinions differ from the so-called official narrative. Here at BrighteonStore.com, we are dedicated to fighting for every American's right to speak their mind without the fear of censorship or suppression. That's why every purchase you make at BrighteonStore.com supports our pro-liberty video sharing platform, Brighteon.com, so we can keep bringing you all the latest unrestricted videos mainstream media doesn't want you to see. Support your health and this free speech platform by shopping at BrighteonStore.com today.
We are going to start 2024 with very, very serious information. Our southern border is under invasion. Yes, the United States of America is under invasion. And Ann Vandersteel is one of the most qualified journalists on the front line. She's been to Texas. She's been all across the southern border, exposing it to you. Right now, Arizona's open. Texas is open. California's open. I want to play video footage that I filmed myself in the Phoenix, Arizona airport approximately 10 days ago in December. Let's play this footage. So in December, America Fest happened in Phoenix, Arizona. That's a turning point event. Many of us independent journalists flew in and out of the Phoenix, Arizona airport, and we were comparing notes. And we became really clear about the fact that the whole airport was covered in illegal aliens, migrants. You can call them what you actually want to call them, but this is footage that really shows you very clearly what's happening in the United States of America at this time. We are under invasion. Now, do you call it a legal invasion, an illegal invasion? These are migrants. These are people who should not be in the United States of America at this time. There are thousands of them going in and out of the airports. There are thousands of them coming across the border every single day of every single week. There's been numbers 250,000 at a time in the month of December. Our borders are wide open. Let's play the next clip. It's very important footage.
To the American Airlines office. They will give you a boarding pass.
This is footage that, of course, I took myself when I was in the Phoenix, Arizona airport in the month of December. That is a gentleman who is a volunteer at the Phoenix, Arizona airport trying to help a migrant, an illegal alien who has a brand new phone. He has a cash card on his phone. He has a fully paid for ticket going to his next location on American Airlines. The man is of fighting age. He doesn't speak English. He doesn't really know what he's doing or where he's going. I tried to talk to him. He does not understand anything about the US Constitution. He's just seeking the American dream. You know, he seemed dazed and confused to me. I know for a fact that no one has researched his background. We don't know if he's violent or not. We don't know if he has any diseases. The borders are wide open. And there is a facility right next to the Phoenix, Arizona airport that is processing migrants, illegal aliens in the hundreds every single day, giving them cash cards, giving them brand new phones, giving them whatever they need to go to their next location. Let's play the next clip. Welcome to 2024 in the United States of America. Ann Vandersteel and I will be covering this in depth. The United States of America is under invasion. This is the Phoenix airport. There are hundreds of migrants all throughout the Phoenix airport. There are thousands of migrants all throughout Phoenix, Arizona, and they're coming in with grace and ease across the border. The border of Arizona is wide open. The governor in Arizona is doing nothing. She's blaming it on the Biden regime. The Biden regime is blaming it on the governor of Arizona. He's blaming it on Congress. Biden says Congress is not giving him enough money to close the borders. Everyone is chasing the blame to each other. In Texas, the border is wide open. The governor of Texas says he's going to do something. He hasn't done anything yet. Governor Abbott is a globalist. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, we all know about him. The whole border of California is open. We have tens of thousands of migrants coming into the United States of America. We don't know their backgrounds. We don't know anything about them. They barely speak English, but they are given cash. We are told about $2,200 a month. The United States of America is under duress. None of us know how to solve this problem, but I promise you that right now with Ann Vandersteel and myself, Corinne Clifford, we will be covering this topic for you. I want to introduce my first guest. She's one of the most incredible women I've actually interviewed in my entire life. She is about to turn herself into federal prison Her name is Rachel Powell. She is a January 6th political prisoner. President Donald Trump is calling them now hostages of the Biden regime. She's turning herself in on January 9th. She's a mother. She's a grandmother. She's an American patriot. She's facing 51 months in federal prison. Welcome, Rachel, to Right Now with Ann Vandersteel. We're grateful to have you as a guest today. How are you feeling as you're about to turn yourself in for 51 months of prison?
I'm feeling, the days go up and down. Just it's like a roller coaster of emotions. And for the most part, I do pretty good holding it, just holding it together. I can let it go when I get to prison, right? Um, but today's been a little rough. It's been a lot. And I just can't believe it, what's happening in this country and what's happening to people like me. And I don't understand how our reps aren't helping us. And it's like there's nobody out there to help us. And there's no words to describe what we're going through.
I want to play a clip. Let's play a clip of what happened on January 6th, 2021 at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C.
If it was black, I was better. You wouldn't shit. You fucking
When you watch this footage, Rachel, you asked me to play this clip. How does it make you feel? What goes on in your head?
Well, first of all, I want to tell you that you're the only person I've shared that video with. It's never been on social media. It was never showed in the court. And it's I don't know, I feel numb watching that because it's just so unbelievable. And I don't know if your viewers understood what's really going on in that video, but we were standing on a public sidewalk there, and we weren't there for anything other than a peaceful protest. And up on that balcony, the cops were just shooting us continually, and we're yelling at them, "Don't shoot, don't shoot." And I remember standing there, and I was so confused because I had been to so many protests through, COVID, the governor shut down our state. And it was shocking to me because I have seen officers at other places diffuse a situation. I have never seen officers just open fire on people. And it was so violent. And I know that a lot of people would probably just run away, especially women in that situation. And I chose in that moment to stay there because it was a public sidewalk. And I was thinking about my children's future. And I just want them to grow up and live in a free country. And there's nowhere else I can take them. And so I chose to stand there. And I thought, surely if the police don't want us here, they'll just arrest us. It's Washington, D.C. They've seen protests over and over again. They're going to lock us up in jail overnight. They're going to let us go the next day. It won't be a big deal. You know, it's not supposed to happen like this. You're not supposed to go to a protest and be shot and beaten by police when you're just standing there. And it's really disturbing because from the beginning, the media didn't show this kind of footage. They portrayed us like we were insurrectionists, like we went to the Capitol to overthrow it. And it's so ridiculous because when you look at people like me who have a little bit of footage and you realize, oh, she had no criminal history before January 6th, and you realize she was really just standing on a public sidewalk. It brings light to how evil and how misrepresented we've been. And the truth is coming out thanks to people like you that are willing to hear us. And America just really needs to wake up. They got to understand what's going on and start fighting for our country and find a place to work, because we're losing our country. You know, you're right. Our borders are open. They're throwing people like me, moms, in prison. Like, they're ripping apart our family for what should have been a slap on the wrist. And I have no words to describe how terrible this has been. And I just don't know what to say.
I mean, Rachel, you witnessed Roseanne Boyland, the second woman that was murdered that day at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Tell us about that, because that's probably the most banned and censored information about your case.
That's correct. I feel like it has been banned and censored. In my trial, prosecution was very good to make sure that they didn't show video from any angles, which would have shown that man pile where Roseanne was dying in. And it's been blocked. You know, at the beginning, they said she died of an overdose. I saw her die. She didn't die of an overdose. She died in a pile of people at that tunnel that should have never happened. And you know, you mentioned she was the second person. You know, the first one obviously was Ashley Babbitt, who I believe a lot of people really know her name. And I remember being in the crowd and the rumor just spreading through the crowd, like they shot somebody, they shot a woman. And I remember being up against the Capitol thinking, are they going to shoot us next? You know, like, is there going to be bullets flying through a wall that kill us? You know, it felt like war. And they've even used that kind of comment against me. Like, when I say it felt like war, it did. And it shouldn't be wrong for me to say that, but prosecution uses those kind of words against me. But so yeah, I was at the Capitol, and I saw the man pile. They call it a man pile, but at the big tunnel. I don't know what happened, but the tunnel started, people started falling over each other, and the people just were piling up. And you could hear a woman crying out for help. Help me, help me. And we were trying to unpile people off of the pile, but the police just kept, I don't know if they were pushing them out or if they put a chemical irritant out in the tunnel that caused the people to flow out and pile up. But the crowd, they actually started chanting, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe." And I believe they were chanting that just so the police could hear, you know, somebody's dying. Stop. Whatever you're doing, stop. You know, nobody's supposed to die at a protest, even an out of control protest. Nobody should die. But we were pulling people off of the pile. And by the time we got to the bottom of the pile, she was laying there dead. She was totally motionless. She wasn't moving. And I remember looking at her, and I've taken CPR classes, and I thought, I could give her CPR. Like, right now, I should give her CPR. But then there's another part of me that said, if I stay right here at this hallway and I do that, they're going to come out of this hallway and they're going to kill me too. And so I didn't stay there and give her CPR. And that's when you can see later in videos, other videos, that people at that tunnel, they did try to give her CPR. And that is where you start seeing fighting with the police and a lot of the men that have been unjustly prosecuted with assault on police. They were just trying to block the police from being more aggressive and keep them back so they could save her life. And probably the worst experience of my life. I'll never forget seeing her dead at my feet. It'll be in my memory forever. And I feel like, you know, I'm sorry for my actions that day, but can I get a little bit of grace? Do I deserve 51 months in prison? Do my children deserve to lose their mother after I saw somebody die and I broke a window? You know, that's the elephant in the room. I broke a window after that, but I'll pay for the window. I'll pay for 10 windows, but, you know, just stop ripping my family apart. We've lost everything. We've lost everything. I don't usually cry when
It's
I'm doing
totally
interviews,
normal.
but today it's just been a long day. It's been a long day. You know, right now my children, I homeschooled them all my children. I've had 8 children, and from the beginning I homeschooled them all. But I've had to start having a teacher come in, you know, to tutor them, and so that's where they're at this morning. They're at another place with their teacher, and I'm in mourning. I'm like losing my family. I'm losing my children.
How many children do you have?
I've had 8 children. I'm down to 3 minors though. I have 3 minors left in the house. My youngest is only 7, and her older brother is 12. And then the other one, the older brother than that, is 15. And geez, my 15-year-old, he's going to have a lot of responsibilities. You know, he's growing up really fast, and I just hope it goes fast. Like, the best
I
thing
mean,
that
you
could
were
happen is
the
Trump gets there.
perfect mom, Rachel. You were the perfect mom. You have no criminal background. All you did was go to a protest. Somehow the ice pick got stuck in your hand. Where would that even come from? And a
That's a
window. Yeah, tell us about that.
great question, because when I was there at the Capitol, I didn't have anything in my backpack other than, you know, a water bottle, a snack, you know, my identification. I didn't bring anything with me to be violent. And so as I was standing at that window through the crowd, what they call a battering ram, which is actually a cardboard tube. And this, it just shows how the prosecution and the media continually lie. They say Rachel Powell brought a battering ram to Washington, D.C. Are you serious? Like a woman, a petite woman brought a battering ram to a protest and carried it through the Capitol and nobody stopped me. How ridiculous is that? It was a cardboard tube that was passed through the crowd. And then after that is what they call an ice axe. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where it went. It was in my hands long enough to take out a window. And you know, you think with the FBI out there, they could figure out where the weapon came from, you know, and they want to act like this is a deadly insurrection and we're all insurrectionists. Well, then why didn't I come with weapons? You know, why would I be at the Capitol with an ice axe? The narrative is just, it's insulting. It's insulting, and it really needs to stop. You know, we weren't terrible people there. We didn't go there trying to overthrow the government. There's no such thing as an insurrection on January 6th. It was a protest that got out of control after the police abused us. That's what happened on that day.
And now you're facing 51 months, but the most censored news is that you have been on house arrest for 3 years, and that is not getting added to take off any time for your 51-month sentence. Tell us about that.
You know, it's a great thing to bring up, because a lot of people think being on house arrest is just, you know, you have an ankle monitor on. That's not the case for me. I literally cannot leave the house. I watch out the window to see my 7-year-old playing outside. I can't take my kids to get jackets. I'm not allowed to leave and go get a haircut. I used to at the beginning be allowed out to go to work, but for over a year now, I haven't even been allowed out to go to work. I have been completely confined. There's no sunlight. It's terrible, and it counts towards nothing towards my sentence. My judge did not take it into consideration whatsoever. And there's no time limit. You know, in America, they can take a human being, a citizen that pays their taxes, that has no criminal history, and they can lock that person up in their home for however long they want. There's nothing that says that they have to consider it a sentence, even though it is. It's a sentence that my judge could have given me. He could have said, you know what, you're going to get house arrest. We're going to stick you in your house for this amount of time. But no, instead, I'm going to prison after already have endured a sentence. The reality is I have endured a sentence. My whole family has endured the sentence with me the last 3 years.
Okay, we're going to cut to a commercial break and we're going to come back and really delve into this, Rachel.
I'm excited to announce that we're bringing back our best offer ever on our original My Slippers. You save $90 a pair with your promo code. And now My Slippers come in even more sizes. Smaller sizes, larger sizes, wide sizes, and all new styles and colors. Get them for your friends, your family, your neighbors, everyone you know. What makes My Slippers different is my exclusive 4-layer design that you're not going to find in any other slippers. My Slippers' patented layers make them ultra comfortable, extremely durable, and they help relieve stress on your feet. I'm so confident that you and everyone you know are going to love My Slippers that I'm extending my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2024, making them the best Christmas gifts ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen now. Use your promo code to save $90. That's only $49.98 a pair. Quantities won't last long, so please order now.
Many of you have been asking, where am I getting the energy from? Where is the glow coming from? What's changed with your hair and skin? Well, simply in the last month, I started taking a product, C60 Evo. If you go to c60evo.com/Ann Vandersteel, you too can get radiant energy, mental focus with C60 Evo's ESS 60. What is it? That is pure C60. Get that increased flexibility, immunity, and longevity. And guess what, folks? It's not only for people too. You can get some for your pets. My animals are on it now. And that's right, I'm having trouble keeping up with Vegas, my dog, who I like to go on long walks with in the morning. He is battling back on the heat down here with his C60 Evo as well. Go to c60evo.com/Ann Vandersteel and try their delicious oils that you can eat and add into salads or put on your food, and also incredible facial serums and creams that are making a massive difference in the texture and feel of my skin. c60evo.com/Ann Vandersteel.
It's really important to start this final segment with another piece of footage that Rachel Powell has asked me to play from her own footage taken on January 6, 2021 at the U.S. Capitol. Rachel, when you watch this footage, you can really see how violent and volatile the police, whether they were U.S. Capitol Police, Washington, D.C. Metro Police, and or feds dressed up as police, you can really see how violent and volatile they were in instigating much of the violence that happened on January 6, 2021. This is another piece of information that's very censored. So I really want you to delve into this. When you watch that footage, what does it make you think of?
Well, in that footage, you can see me. I have the fur hooded jacket, and I'm wearing black, and I'm protecting my face like this. And they've continually accused me in prosecution paperwork of pushing against the barricades. But what they didn't do is show videos like this one, where I'm just trying to stand on a public sidewalk. The police are the ones moving the barricades, and I refuse to move off of a public sidewalk. And so what do? They have an officer at the very beginning of the clip shooting us from close up. They have a baton. They're hitting me with the baton. They grab me and they throw me. You know what there's no videos of? Me hitting the officer's back. I saw so many men that day. I witnessed them with my own eyes, begging police officers to stop. Please stop. We love you. You're one of us. We're one of you. Please stop. Please stop. But the police, they just kept spraying us. They would throw out these little, they're not a bomb, but they would throw these little things out into the crowds that would release gas. You couldn't breathe. For hours, I was in pain. And I kept thinking it would stop, but it didn't stop. It just escalated and it got worse. And that video that you just showed, that was after the police were up on the balcony shooting us, and we continued to stand on that public sidewalk. And then the police attacked us, moving the barricades, pushing the barricades against us, trying to move us with the barricades. They should have just clearly I'm not fighting back, put me in handcuffs, take me to the DC jail, or better yet, let us stand there on a public sidewalk and do what you always do in a protest. You have some chance, whose house, our house. That's all you want to do at a protest, is meet like-minded people and let your voice be heard. We knew the election was stolen. All we wanted was just recognize us, look into the election. Can you please just look into it? Or, the reality is, even if they didn't look into it, if they would have just let us stay on that public sidewalk, do our little chants, we'd have all gone home at the end of the day, back to our homes. It would have never escalated. Nobody would have ever died. It would have just been another protest, just a little blip in history. And instead, it's just become this giant, out of control, wrongly portrayed event that targets American people like myself, especially, the conservative people, the Republicans, those of us that have continually said, you don't have to comply if the government is telling you to do something that is taking away your rights. If your government says you can't work, go to work, that was people like me. Don't comply. We're not saying be violent. We're not saying overthrow the government. We're just saying go to a protest and have your voice be heard. Find a place to work to bring our country back to the great country that it is. And instead, we're being targeted. And what's really upsetting is people need to realize that this government has divided us. The Democrats and the Republicans are so divided right now that it's impossible to work together. But if they can do this to somebody like me, if they can throw me in prison for 51 months over this, eventually they're going to do it to other parties. If they can do this to a conservative protester in the future, if we don't stop this, they're going to do it to other protesters, and it's going to be a continual, it's like a snowball rolling down a hill, and it's just going to get bigger and it's going to get worse. And we need to stop this, and we need to wake up. We need to stop fighting with each other, and we need to bring our country back to the great country that it is. And it's never going to happen if we let them keep dividing us.
Rachel, tell us how the FBI originally arrested you. Tell us the effects that it's had on your children, and tell us about your first judge who persecuted you because of the mask issue. Just go into that.
Right. So I turned myself in to the Newcastle FBI
In Pennsylvania.
in Pennsylvania. And I turned myself in exactly where they said to. And the same morning that they told me I had to turn myself in, they raided my home. And it's interesting to me because There was media helicopters flying over my home. Thank God we weren't there. Thank God my children did not have to have the red dots from guns on them like other families have experienced. But how did the why was the media there? I lived halfway between Pittsburgh and Erie, and the FBI beat in my door. They ransacked my whole house. My children were in hiding because the media was surrounding my house for days. It was, I'm sure, terrifying for my children who couldn't even go back to their own home. And then I was in jail for a week. I was in the Butler, Pennsylvania jail, and they were having hearings to get me out of jail. And I have no criminal history. I have ties to my community. I have a family. And so they had no justification to hold me in prison, or not in prison, but in jail. And so Judge Powell, at the time, she was the chief justice at the DC court, she decided she was going to let me out of jail, but she put it in my court paperwork that I would have to wear a mask. And I know that the reason that she did it was because during the COVID time period, our state was very draconian, and they didn't just say, you know, who can work or not work, but they rolled out mask mandates like they were laws. And so I was outspoken. If you don't want to wear a mask, then do not wear a mask. You know, I went to restaurants that were supposed to have their doors closed, and I ate out more than I normally would just to support them because our government was closing us all down. And I truly believe that it was a punishment to me. It was making an example out of me by putting the mask mandate on me to get out of jail. And she tried to go so far to say, you're going to have to wear a mask while inside your home with your own children. And my lawyer at the time, he said, nobody wears a mask in their home with their children. And so she changed it to where I would have to wear one anytime that I'm outside of my residence, which would only have been to go to work, because I wasn't allowed outside literally for anything. I could go out for my 8-hour work schedule and then had to be right back in the door. And then a few months later, they decided they didn't like my mask. And there was literally a hearing held to decide if they should put me back in jail because they did not like my mask. You know, does this sound like America, the land of the free, to you, where they have court hearings to decide if somebody should go to jail because they're not wearing a mask that they like? That's insanity. What has happened to our country? I never would have imagined that this is what we would come to in our country. And you know, people like me, I'm not telling somebody, if you want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. That's your right. If you're scared that you're going to get sick from a virus, I'm all for you having the ability to stay home. What I'm not for is forcing people to not make an income, to not be able to support themselves. And I'm against this government thinking that they have the right to make medical decisions for us. Judge Powell is a judge. She's not a doctor. She's not a doctor. She's not a god. But I'll tell you what, she acted like one with my case. And it's disgusting.
That was your first judge. I want to show a photo of your family. Let's show a photo of your family right now. I think it's really important to see this. So how many children, how many grandchildren? This is a photo of your family. And then this is a photo with your children with President Donald Trump. How do your children feel right now?
You know, I have an amazing family. My children are beautiful. My grandchildren are beautiful inside and out. They're wonderful people. They have been fully supportive of me. And, you know, that picture you showed with Trump, he's met 3 of my boys twice. And not even one, no other politician has taken the time to speak directly to my family. In fact, even my local rep, Mike Kelly, me directly, but when I called his office, they were more than happy to give me the suicide hotline. You know what? I didn't need a suicide hotline. I needed their help. But President, even in his indictments, he took the time to meet with my kids and to encourage them. And he's made it clear that he's going to pardon us. You know, if somehow we can get past this fraudulent election system that we have and Trump gets in, he's going to pardon us. My 12-year-old son, Nicholas, he had Trump, he told Trump about me. And so Trump signed this hat, and it says, I don't know if you can see it, but it says, Rachel, we love you. And then it has his signature on it. And I'll tell you what, my 12-year-old son, it was such a blessing to him. And this has been so hard. This experience has been so terrible. But that little bit of hope that has been given to our family during those 2 meetings has really gotten us through. It was a huge morale booster. And, you know, there are some experiences that have been really good for my family. You know, not everybody gets to say that they've met Trump and that Trump knows who they are, but he does know who my kids are and he does care. So anybody out there that's listening, just know Trump does care about the January 6th to people. Do not believe that he doesn't, because he does. And I think he's doing the best that he can right now for our country. And we just got to be patient and we got to start working harder. But anyways, yeah, so my family, I want to go back to them. You know, it's important to point out that during this time, this 3-year sentence that doesn't count towards my sentencing, my house arrest, I missed my daughter's wedding. I missed the birth of 2 of my grandchildren. My one grandchild that I missed her birth, her name's Daisy. We're like an organic, crunchy homeschooling family. And Daisy's older brother, Teddy, he was literally born into my hands. Like, it was the most beautiful experience ever. Like, that's the kind of family I have, that it's like my daughters, they want their mom to be there. And so the fact that she had to have my first granddaughter, by the way, she had to have her without me there, that's terrible. You know, and that's what this government does, is they're just interested in ripping our families apart. And I'm going to have my second granddaughter is going to be born this year. And the reality is I'm going to be sitting in jail when she's born. And that granddaughter has an older brother.
What do you think happened in your court trial? What do you think happened that was the disconnect? You had a bench trial.
Right. Well, I don't think it was a disconnect. I think that the prosecution lied repeatedly. And my judge, Judge Lamberth, he's very well known for being a harsh sentencer, and he stays in the guidelines. And so prosecution, they were asking for 8 years. They were asking for 8 years, and they were asking for me to be considered a domestic terrorist, if you can let that sink in for a little bit. And because they wanted me to be considered a terrorist, that would have given me even more than 8 years. And so Judge Lamberth, he read letters that people wrote for me. He saw a video that was made of my family. And the 51 months is actually the bottom of the guidelines that that he had for me. And so that sentence is really, for Judge Lamberth, is a lenient sentence. And as much as I hate it, that's just how it is. But the problem is that they threw charges at me that I should have never had. You know, the obstruction of justice charge that the Supreme Court has finally taken up, that's a 20-year felony. That's never been used against protesters before January 6th. And so my case had to deal with that. I was convicted of the obstruction of justice charge. And then they considered the breaking of the window, the tool in my hand, they considered that a deadly weapon. And all these things work together.
How many seconds do you have that alleged deadly weapon in your hand? And where did it come from?
Again, I don't know where it came from. It was passed through the crowd. It was put in my hand. I used it to take out the window. I'm guessing it was probably in my hand a minute. Like, it was not in my hand very long. And then the tool just disappeared back into the crowd. And I'd like somebody to explain to me how you can kill or injure a window, because it's not a person, it's not flesh, it's not living. So why is a tool to break a window considered a deadly weapon when it had no intent of hurting another human being? And I had no intent of hurting anybody that day. And yet here I am. I'm
Now, you were
a convicted
explaining to
felon.
me, that a lot of the evidence against you wasn't even given to you on the right timing. Tell us about that really fast.
Right. Okay. So my trial took about 2.5 years to get to. During that 2.5 years, I was begging for my evidence, for my discovery. That's what they call it, is discovery. It's the evidence that they have against a person. Any videos that the prosecution is going to use, any messages the prosecution is going to use. And I believe that a defendant should have that from day one, as soon as you can get it to them. I was begging for mine so much that I actually called the FBI, who then contacted my lawyer, who then contacted me and said, you can't contact the FBI. But then they finally decided, okay, you send us a hard drive, we'll put your evidence on it and we'll send it back to you. So I did that. I sent them a hard drive. They sent it back without my discovery, without my evidence. All that was on that hard drive were pictures that were on my phone. And so then I was told, send them another hard drive, which I did, and it never got sent back to me. And then less than 2 weeks from my trial date, they decided to give me my discovery. And it was like this dump, all of the Facebook posts that I'd ever had through history to sort through, all these videos. And, the government had over 2 years to sort through this. And now here I am, a mom who's overwhelmed, preparing to go into trial, arranging for her whole family to have to travel to Washington, D.C., which, by the way, you have to do that at your own expense, travel to Washington, D.C. and back every time you have one of these court hearings. And then they give me this evidence dump. This system is impossible for a normal person to navigate. They have made it almost impossible to fight in this system. That's why they have so many wins. And this is why we see so many January 6 people taking plea deals. It's not because they really believe that they're guilty. It's because they know that they can't win in this system. And they know that they're going to lose their life, and they're going to be given even a longer sentence for trying to present the truth in this system. And it's all just set up against us. And I don't know how to fix that. But boy, we need to do something to change the system, because it's terrible. In this country, in America, it should not take 2.5 years to get to trial, and you should not have to wait 2.5 years to get your discovery. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at in this country. This is not the land of the free anymore. We're being invaded, and they're putting people like me in prison like we're criminals.
We have 2 minutes left, Rachel. Tell us, what's the most important thing that you want us all to know? Of course, give us your website so people can keep track of you. And then at the end of the show, I will give the address where people can actually send you letters.
Okay.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay. My website is rachelpowell.org. You can see the way that my name is spelled there on the screen. And that will be updated. I don't keep up that website. I have people around me that just love me, and so they're taking care of this kind of stuff. And there's a chance I could be moved to different facilities, but hopefully I'll end up staying in the West Virginia FCI Hazleton facility. And if anything changes, it'll end up on the website. I'm sure it'll end up on my Twitter account. I'm not on any social media that censors, like, you're not going to find me on Facebook, but you will find me on Twitter. And hopefully the same people that take care of stuff like this website will also take care of my Twitter, and that will try to keep people updated. But it would be great to hear from people. I think that there's a huge value to even just getting a letter or a postcard from real Americans that actually care. And so pick a January 6th person. I'm not saying it has to be me, but it's like it just keeps us going. I don't know how I would have made it without people supporting me through this. And so just be busy and find a January 6th person, write letters. Better yet, call your representatives and say, you got to help these people. And even better than that, if people could find a way to be busy in this election system so we can have a fair election, if that's even possible in this next year, that would be the most important thing. That's more important than me or anything. We have to fix this election system. We have to start changing our system. We have to be busy. We got to turn off the Netflix. We have to stop wasting our time. We're losing our country. And there's no other place to go. That's the reality. There's no other country that's greater than ours. And so if anybody could just do that, just find a way to be busy, and pray. If you're in a situation where you're medically incapable of going out and working to be the change, then pray, because there's a God up there that is hearing every single prayer. And he put us here in these positions because God knew that people like you and I could handle this.
Thank you so much, Rachel. This concludes this episode of Right Now with Ann Vandersteel. I'm your host, your guest host today, Corinne Clifford. You can always text me to get an update for Rachel Powell. The text number is 917-287-1314. 917-287-1314. You can send Rachel Powell letters starting the first week of February. Rachel Marie Powell, Powell. Her ID number is 28873-509, FCI Hazleton, Federal Correctional Institution, P.O. Box 5000, Brewston Mills, West Virginia, 26525. I will have Rachel Powell on again. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Right Now with Ann Vandersteel. God bless.